everyone, my name is Tyler Thompson, and I will be chairing this stacked panel that we have this evening. So we've got about half an hour, and we've got 6 panelists, so there's a lot to fit in quite a short time. But this is how it's going to work. So one by one, I'm going to introduce each panelist up onto the stage. You're going to give them a big round of applause, and they're going to come up, and then I'm going to ask each of them one question each. And then once they've all answered their one question, then we're going to open the floor to you guys, and you guys can ask any questions, comments, reflections, thoughts you have when the time comes. Does that sound like a good plan? Are you ready? I said, are you ready? Fantastic. Well, in that case, let's introduce our first guest. His name is Mohammed Abdallah Al-Assad. He is a young entrepreneur who turned adversity into ambition. At just 15, he survived the traumatic experience that could have defined his future, but instead, he chose to rise above it. Now, as he turns 18, he is focusing on personal growth, reconnecting with family, and paving his way in the business world. With his brand Apex Grills, he's making his mark in the jewelry industry, specializing in custom grills, tooth gems, and diamond designs. I think I want some. His dedication to craftsmanship and branding has already positioned him as a rising entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mohammed Abdallah Al-Assad. Okay, so thank you. So our next panelist is one of the founders and the chief vision officers of the first national gender-based violence support service for black femmes in the UK. She has over 10 years of experience of working in the violence against women and girls sector, and her mission is and always has been to center black women at the heart of every narrative. As a gender-based violence specialist consultant, she provides organizations with the tools, context, and information needed to take tangible steps towards change. She is a Youth Justice Board member. She chairs the BAME Domestic Abuse Partnership Forum for London, and she provides specialist expertise on domestic homicide reviews involving black women and girls. Ladies and gents, please put your hands together for Christabel Yaboa. Welcome. So our next guest is a dynamic leader and social entrepreneur. As CEO of Enterprise Nation, she supports over 1 million small businesses annually, driving innovation and sustainable growth across the UK. She is the founder of Girls in Movement, a global social enterprise empowering young girls through education, mentorship, and entrepreneurship. Her work is deeply rooted in community impact, having spoken at platforms such as the MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth and Google AI Works. She's a strong advocate for young people, focusing on creating safe spaces, tackling youth violence, and empowering the next generation through education and opportunity. Ladies and gents, please welcome Polly Dhaliwal. Nice to meet you. 3 down, 3 to go. Our next guest is a psychotherapist, founder of Help Us Help, and director of Stop Trafficking Worldwide. From a childhood marked by trauma, he found solace in alcohol and drugs, facing battles that many would find impossible to overcome. But he did. Through sheer strength and determination, he turned his life around and emerged from the darkness of addiction, violence, and crime stronger than ever. Today, he is not only an extraordinary individual, but also a beacon of hope for those facing their own struggles. He has conquered his inner demons and now dedicates his life to helping others around the world do the same through his organization, Help Us Help, by promoting a drug-free world and the way to happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Saf Buxi. Our next guest is the strategic lead for domestic abuse, sexual violence, and modern slavery for Croydon Council. She's also the Violence Against Women and Girls Coordinator for the Borough and works pan-London with the Home Office and the Mayor of London. She has worked for Croydon Council for over 30 years, and in the last 12 years, she's been head of service for the council's domestic abuse service. She has recently worked with partners to develop Croydon's first ever Tackling Violence Against Women and Girls delivery plan, which was signed off by the Cabinet in the summer of 2024. She is committed to working in partnership to tackling violence perpetrated against women and girls that work, live and study in Croydon. Please welcome Alison Kennedy. And last, but definitely not least, is the Borough Commander for Croydon. He is also the Chief Superintendent for the South Basic Command Unit, which includes Croydon, Sutton and Bromley. Through his leadership, Croydon sees proactive initiatives aimed at crime prevention and community engagement, reflecting his dedication to serving the borough and its residents. Please welcome Chief Superintendent Andy Britton. All right, so we are going to have one question each for our panelists, and we're going to start with Mohammed at the end over there. And my question for you, young man, is what do you believe are the biggest barriers preventing young people from choosing positive pathways instead of violence?
You're right, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me? Yes. Congratulations if you can, because you've now found the mute button successfully for your lives remote. So, today we gather today with heavy hearts, remembering those that we've lost to knife and gun crime. Their absence leaves a painful void. May their spirits soar high and they finally rest at peace. As a first-generation Londoner, my story is one of transformation, shaped by my family's sacrifices and my own hard-won lessons. My parents, seeking a brighter future, bravely left their home, instilling in me resilience and an unwavering work ethic. Their journey paved the way for my opportunities, but my own path included difficult lessons about relationships. I learned that some friendships weren't aligned with my values. A life-altering stabbing and the stark reality of nearly having to face prison time forced me to confront my choices. The pivotal moment, combined with the threat of prison, became a crucible. It forged within me a deeper understanding of responsibility, accountability, and the weight of my decisions. I learned the true meaning of friendship. Those who celebrate your growth and stand by you during your struggles. I chose to surround myself with positive influences, prioritizing my well-being and seizing the opportunities my family's struggles made possible today. My journey is about overcoming adversity, honoring their legacy, and inspiring others to embrace change, no matter how daunting it may seem. It's a testament to resilience, to the determination to rise above circumstances. Moving on to the pivotal points of the speech. What do I believe are the biggest barriers preventing young people from choosing positive pathways instead of violence? Some of the biggest barriers include a lack of access to positive role models, insufficient mental health support, and limited opportunities for education and employment. Additionally, systemic issues such as poverty, social inequalities, and the influence of negative peer pressure can lead a young person to engage in violent behavior as a means of coping or gaining status. Here I've come up with 5 different solutions I think could make a big change to young people's mental health and potentially also help care systems. Number 1, training mentors. Offering training for mentors to ensure they understand the challenges faced by young people, including trauma-informed practices. Number 2, access to resources. Providing mentorship alongside access to educational workshops, job training, and mental health services to equip young people with the skills and the resources they need to pursue positive pathways. Number 3, peer support groups. Creating peer-led support groups where young people can share their experiences and challenges, fostering a sense of community and belonging. Number 4, engagement with the families. Involving families in the mentorship process to strengthen support systems and address underlying issues that may contribute to negative behaviors. Number 5, the last point, regular assessments, continuously evaluating the program's effectiveness and making necessary adjustments to ensure it meets the evolving needs of the youth today. By investing in a structured mentorship that emphasizes connection, support, and skill development, communities can help guide young people towards more positive choices and allow them to stray away from violence and being peer pressured. An important message I'd like to end on today to everyone, young people and adults. Age is just a number, mental health isn't. Always remember you can do it, we can do it, never give up. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and another big thank you to those who have given me this opportunity to speak out today.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Thank you very, very much. That was brilliant, thank you. So I'm going to have to be very mean and impose a strict time limit because we've only got half an hour. So we're going to stick to about 2 to 2.5 minutes. And my next question is for Christabel. How does gender-based violence intersect with youth violence, and what can communities do better to protect and support young women and girls?
I don't think that you can talk about youth without considering who is youth. And the reality is often when we talk about youth violence, we're talking about boys, right? Often that's who we're talking about, or male-identifying people, young people. And that's no problem. I think if we're honest about it, we're saying men and boys, then that's absolutely fine, and we create that space for them. But if we're talking about youth violence, then we're forgetting half the people that are experiencing that violence, and those are women and girls. Young women and girls. And there is no youth violence in young women and girls without exploitation, without gender-based violence. Before we start, gender-based violence in itself, what does that mean? Because maybe some people in the room don't know. But it's forms of violence that happen to people, a group of people, because they don't subscribe to a certain gender dynamics or because they are of certain gender. So for example, violence against women and girls is a form of gender-based violence. And it's forms of violence that happen to women and girls because they're women and girls, like domestic abuse and sexual abuse and so on. So if we're having conversations around youth violence, how can we talk about a group of women and girls that will be experiencing this, but we've left them behind? Which means that a lot of the programs that we've created around youth violence, around awareness, around protection, around safe spaces, have not been designed with us in mind. We've been left out. And you're trying to make us or make half the group or half the people that experience youth violence somehow adapt to a program that hasn't been created with them in mind or with them at the forefront or with them in consideration. And that's the problem. But another problem is we don't understand how to create safe spaces. Safe space is not what you call a safe space. Safe space is what I, attending the space, feel is safe. So nobody can really say, I create safe spaces. How does the person accessing your safe spaces feel about the space that they're accessing? That is the real meaning of safe space. And so we are not creating enough safe spaces. They're not inclusive enough. They're not intersectional enough. They're not accessible enough, right? But also, and something we have to acknowledge, is we're not holding perpetrators accountable. Even as I'm talking, when I'm talking about violence against women and girls, I'm talking about male violence against women and girls. Male violence against women and girls. That's what we're talking about. We're not holding the group of people that are exploiting or that are abusing or perpetrating this abuse. There's statistics that shows that since 2018, youth violence or knife crime in itself has risen by between 43% to 48% in girls. Nobody's talking about that. So we don't have an idea about how they're experiencing it. We don't understand what happens. And once it has happened, we are being reactive, not proactive to what their needs are. And final point that I want to say is, as we're aiming to create safe spaces and as we're aiming to create the space and have more of an understanding of how everyone experiences youth violence, including gender non-conforming people, including lesbian, gay, and trans young people, including young people that are experiencing different things and are going through different things, I think it's important to also hold accountable people in our communities who hold power, who perpetrate, and often are hailed and are placed on platforms where young people actually don't feel safe enough to access the spaces that we've created for them because they're managed and led by people who are perpetrating. So how are we as a community holding each other accountable? And how are we creating true safe spaces that include all young people for that? So yeah, I will leave it at that.
Thank you very, very much. So there's already a lot of thought-provoking things being said already. So please do keep your questions, any reflections in your head ready for the time where the Q&A comes. So, Polly, hello. What advice do you have for young people who want to start their own business but lack the resources or support networks?
Yeah, great question. We hadn't had this plan before. I'll keep it very short, don't worry. I speak very quick. So I'm a COO at an organisation called Enterprise Nation. We met this young man at a great event with Croydon Council where it's all about inspiring young entrepreneurs to start a business. So anyone can start a business, but growing and scaling a business, hiring your first employee is very different. Individuals can start their business these days just at Instagram, TikTok, etc., and they've started. But actually giving young entrepreneurs the confidence, the resources is really important. And for us, just seeing today people come onto a stage and perform is one of the biggest barriers because a lot of young individuals lack confidence. So to even get into a room where you're either looking for investment, for example, or you're looking to hire your first employee, or to be in the same spaces as maybe people who don't necessarily look like you to start a business, the confidence is the first thing. So Enterprise Nation run a great program, free to access with Croydon Council, and that's kind of why I'm here today, for young entrepreneurs within the area. You don't have to be an entrepreneur yet, but whether you want to start, grow, or scale your business, you can access that free resource. But everything on enterprisenation.com is free. But yeah, our aim is to make sure that young individuals feel a bit more confident to start a business and hopefully see people like them sat at the same table as well.
Thank you very, very much, Polly. I actually, I met Polly about a month or so ago, and she mentioned Enterprise Nation, and I did actually sign up. Even though I'm not that young anymore, I did sign up, and I have been sent a lot of resources already, so I can vouch for that. So please do sign up if you're an aspiring entrepreneur. Dr. Saf, my question for you is, what practical steps can schools, families, and communities take to support young people's mental well-being and resilience against violence?
Thank you. Hi, can everyone hear me? I'm going to stand up because I want to share this message to everyone. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Councillor Manju. Thank you, everyone, for having me today, Your Highness, and fellow dignitaries. I came from a life of addiction, a life of trauma, a life of crime. I had no support growing up as a child, and I took that with me into adult life. But today, it's not like that. I came out of a 33-year addiction to alcohol, to cocaine, to crystal meth, and to gambling, and the whole lifestyle that comes with that, chaos. I was involved in some very unsavory things in my life, and it was all rubbish. It was all pretense. It felt good, but it wasn't good. So today, I've been in recovery for 9 years, and I've turned my life around fully to dedicate my life to helping people out there. And you know what? And today's not about me. It's about us. It's about our youth. It's about our parents. It's about everyone to educate as many people, but more importantly, support people. Because I had no support. So the answer to your question, Tyler, is support, education. On each and every one of your chairs, there's a book called The Truth About Drugs. I'm part of a Drug-Free World campaign. I'm part of a campaign called The Way to Happiness. My organisation, Help Us Help, we help as many people as we can, especially the youth, and educate and empower the youth. There are counsellors out there, there's psychotherapists out there, there's people like me who have been there and come out the other side. I feel blessed. I feel blessed that I'm alive. I've had 2 stomach bumps, 3 overdoses, flatline once, in and out with the criminal justice system, but thank God I came through. Thank God I'm here. Thank God I'm here to give you a message of hope, because this is transformation right here. I was told that I would amount to nothing. Today I'm here standing before you guys and showing you that there is a way out. Drugs is poison. The effects it gives you makes you do things out of character. You may feel good when you take it, and I did. But the consequences that come with taking drugs is remarkable, remarkably sick. I used to carry a knife I used to walk around with a gang. I wasn't like that. It was all fake. It was a fake life. But today, I try and help youth come out of that life. So thank you very much for having me. I feel honoured and blessed to be here. Please, please, please Google me. I'm here to help our youngsters. My foundation is here to help as many people as we can help. Thank you very much. Free Palestine.
Thank you, Saf. Thank you very, very much for sharing your powerful story. So we have 2 more questions. Up next is Ali Kennedy. Ali? How can we build stronger relationships between statutory services and the communities most affected by violence to create more effective interventions?
Thanks, Tyler. So I suppose it's kind of going on a bit from what Christabel was saying, that as the council and statutory services that we provide, we're acutely aware that we can't tackle violence against women and girls on our own as a council. So we very much rely on our communities, our community resources, our community organisations to support us in how we end violence against women and girls. So this isn't just about us writing strategies. This is about the community telling us this is what's happening in our communities. This is the violence that our young people are experiencing. So what can we do as a council to improve that? How can we make that better? How can we tailor that support to specific communities to break down their barriers for support? And we work very, very closely when we devised the Violence Against Women and Girls strategy, that it was very victim survivor focused. If any of you have ever read the strategy, the voices of victim survivors come through loud and clear in that strategy, as does our involvement and our work with our community sector organisations and the communities. So I think how we foster that moving forward is to make sure we give communities a platform to be able to stand up and say, actually, we would like you to contribute to the council. We would like you to be involved in this policy. We need to stop doing it to people. We need people to be involved in that, and we will support in doing that. Thanks, Ty.
Thank you very much. Still working? Yes. All right. Chief Superintendent Andy Brittam.
Thank you. I'll try and keep this short. Before I answer the question...
Oh, go for it, yeah.
Can I just say, I sat on this stage last year. We've gone away and we've done some amazing work with lots of different partners. And can I just give some crime stats to give a bit of a positive picture? So since we were here last year, personal robbery, which affects a lot of school children, is now down 21%, which is absolutely outstanding. Hate crime is down 17%, and violence with injuries down 10%. And the other key one I wanted to mention was knife crime under 25, down 6%. So we've still got a long way to go, but we are starting to make some headway into turning things around. So I'll answer that question now, but I really had a deal with the Mayor of Croydon that we would stop talking Croydon down and actually give some positive stats. Absolutely. Because Croydon is a good place.
Can we give Croydon some love? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, your question is, what role does the Metropolitan Police see for community-led initiatives in reducing youth violence, and how can law enforcement better collaborate with the local groups?
Yeah, I mean, I think this panel is absolutely brilliant, because everything I've learned around how do we stop the youth violence is sat on this stage. So the role models, when I go out and talk to the young children, they don't have good role models in their lives. The safe spaces, well, that's where we as the police service need to be out there creating those safe spaces. And that's not just about police officers being in those safe spaces. It could be about those role models, those mentors, or council employees, youth engagement teams. All those people contribute to those safe spaces. And then we've talked about, an economic future. Again, I speak to children who've committed quite serious acts of crime, and they don't feel they have that future. That is lacking, and it leads then to the wrong and poor decision making. And then we've got education. It's education, education, education. Again, a lot of them aren't getting the education that they need. And then finally, I work with Ali around safety in the home, because it has to start in the home. These kids have to feel safe in the home. So much of the work we do there is around domestic violence and creating that safe space in the home. So for me, it's the police's job really is not about enforcement. Yes, we have to do enforcement, but I don't celebrate that aspect of it. What I celebrate is the prevention, which is kind of our primary purpose. And that's what we've been working on with so many different agencies and organisations in Croydon. And I feel like we are starting to make a real difference. So I'm really kind of looking forward to the questions, so I'll stop there.
Wicked. Thank you very, very much, Andy. Okay, so now it is your turn to ask the questions. You've met our 6 panelists. You know what they're about, and you know what they have to say, and now it's your chance to answer the questions. I think we don't have an extra mic, so you're going to have to shout really, really loud when the time comes to ask your question. Say who you're asking it to, and then say what your question is. So, who is going to be first to ask a question? Yeah, straight out of the bat. All right, so we've got a question coming up. Who's it for? I think we're going to need a microphone. Let's try this. Thank you. And then I'll give you guys my mic. So it's for Dr. Saf?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Hello. My question is to you, as you said, that you had a very bad life with drugs and all sorts. At what point and what made you turn your life around? And how did you do it? Did you have external help, or how did you manage to turn your life around in the past 9 years?
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. The truth is I had support from my family. Without them, I wouldn't be alive today. I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to stop my life of drinking drugs and everything that came with it, but they took me to rehab, they took me to people who had been where I'd been, and it gave me hope. And I just embraced recovery. So the answer to your question is that I had no intention to actually stop, but when I went into the rehab facility and met some professionals who had not only been where I'd been, but were there to support me, they encouraged me, they gave me hope, they empowered me. Everything I do with the youth today, and not just the youth, but with adults as well. So, call it a spiritual awakening, call it whatever, but it was a blessing. And I just feel so, so grateful that I had the opportunity to meet this one particular person who was my first key worker, and then I haven't looked back. And I think helping others has definitely helped me as well in my recovery. So, yeah, thank you.
There was one over there, isn't there?
Thank you very, very much. Okay, so who would like to ask the next question of our 6 panelists? We have one down there. Oh, we've got another one. Okay, we'll take from this person here, and then we'll come to you, sir. Hello, so what's your name? Who's your question for?
Hi, my name is Ayan, and this is a question for Andy. Hi, Andy. You do some great work, and I just wanted to speak in regards to what youth mentorship programs are currently running in conjunction with the Met Police, given the fact that we've got a young gentleman with lived experience. So is there any projects that are currently running that he could possibly get involved, or are you interested in starting one?
Well, if you're interested in starting one, definitely see me at the end. There's so many we've been working with. I can't really name them all off the top of my head now, but I don't know if anyone's from Programme for Youth Empowerment are in the building, Mentivity. I can't think of them all now. Sorry, you put me on the spot. There are so many of those programmes out there, but they are massively underfunded, and unfortunately, the Met isn't cash rich. We're kind of asset rich, but not cash rich. So we can't fund them the way we want to. So one of the things we've been doing a lot of is supporting those organisations to get the funding, whether it's through the VIU or through charities and stuff. We will, where we can, support and endorse organisations. But we need more. Croydon has the highest youth population in London, and there's not enough out there, I think, to provide those role models and that support for those young people that desperately need it. But I'd love to speak to you at the end if you want to work with us.
Thank you. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Okay, you, sir, you were next. What's your name? Who's your question for?
I'm not really sure who my question goes to, but basically, I've been coaching boxing for 14 years now. I work with all ages. You end up becoming a bit of a mentor. Really, I think my question is, I enjoy working with the youths that have come from a hard background, knife crime, gangs, and I like to think I turn a lot of their lives around through boxing. How easy or how hard would it to get a safe space that you're all talking about and teach these youths boxing and get them into a straight life instead of a bad lane? How easy would it be?
Firstly, thank you for what you're doing in terms of your boxing in the community. Who would like to field this question? Bam, Polly.
Yeah, I don't think my personal experiences can lean into this, but very easy. As I've said before, anyone can start a business. So for me, I run a side project, a charity, which is all around educating young girls and giving them education in villages across the world. I also have a day job, so I started that on the side. I'm sure there's people in this room who want to create safe spaces, so they just need to come together. So events like this connect the dots a little bit. So we work with Croydon Council because we want to bring entrepreneurship into the area. So my recommendation is find the people who want to create safe spaces. There's one sat next to me right now. Then go to the council to get the funding and then get the word out through the young entrepreneurs or the young individuals. It's a community effort. If it's just one person setting up a boxing space, for example, you need the help from the community to bring everyone to it. So for me, I think you need a whole community effort. It says it takes a village, and that doesn't stop when the child is post 13. It keeps going and going. So yeah, your community is here that you need to talk to, I think.
I was just going to add to you as well. Gentleman is leaving. Oh, sir. That's okay. Are you in a rush? It's okay. I was just going to say that, of course, it's easy to start a business, like you said. We launched a national gender-based violence support service for Black women and girls. That didn't exist before. It's easy to start it, but it's hard to get funding. It's hard to get people to believe in what you believe in. It's hard to get people to believe in the drive that you have and the safe spaces you're trying to create. So I would just advise you to be really audacious, right? Be really unapologetic about your vision. Stand by it. Don't move. Don't be moved by a no from somebody. And like you just said, find people who are already have the same vision as you or who are already doing what you want to do. We don't all have to start a new thing. Some of us can come together and do a more amazing, bigger things that already exists. So it's okay to partner up with somebody. And like you were saying earlier, Andy, there are amazing organizations across Croydon that do boxing, like Be Inspired, Lives Not Knives, or Knives Not Lives. There are so many amazing organizations who are doing similar work. And if there is a gap, then tap into that gap and reach out to those organizations. But be unapologetic and be audacious in what you're trying to do, because you're already doing amazing things.
You can leave now.
I think Andy has something to add.
I was going to mention gloves, not guns, as another one. Boxing is always hugely popular, so that is something we would love to help with, because you will get the kids. They will come and they will get some real benefit from it. So don't give up and keep pushing ahead with that one.
Thank you. So on the sheet it says that we have to be finished by 7:04, which means we've got 3 minutes left and time for one question. Thank you, sir. What's your name and who's your question for?
Rajan, we're a local business in Croydon. And the question is for the lady from Enterprise Nation. You said you're working with Croydon Council. Is it a face-to-face help, or is it online? If you can just summarize how people can access that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you just go to enterprisenation.com, under our programs, you'll see the partnership with Croydon Council. That ends in a couple of months, but across all of Enterprise Nation, we run free programs for anyone. So it's not just young entrepreneurs, anyone who has an idea. So I look at individuals who are up on the stage dancing. Maybe one day they want to have their own dance studio. That's a great idea, but you need to bring it to life. You need a space, you need funding, you need people to make it happen. So everything is free to access. The resources start from how to access funding in London, for example, through to how to take your business global. So there's stuff for everyone at every single stage. But yeah, it's all online. And Croydon Council, there are boot camps. So the boot camps run over several weeks. Students, young entrepreneurs, young individuals drop in. 4 hours we put those on for, and the council funds that, and Enterprise Nation deliver it. We run that all over the UK with different organisations. There's funding out there. We've just launched a campaign with Uber. Uber grants, where if you're an Uber business owner or you do deliveries through Uber, you can access grants because you're an entrepreneur as well. Vista as well, we're running grants through them. There's a lot of cash out there in the UK. If you're looking for investment, you need to go looking for it, but it's primarily through the councils where they are looking to fund businesses like the boxing business as well. So yeah, just head to our website and you'll see it all there.
All right, thank you very, very much. Thank you guys for all your questions. Yes. We have 2 more questions? Oh, fantastic. Okay, who's asking the question?
I'm going to try and be as quick as I can. My name is Ryan Lee. I'm from the Croydon area. I'm a trainee psychotherapist and an author of a book, If Only You Knew. My question to anybody in the panel is, for the youths out here that are actually involved in knife crime, do you feel that there's a disconnect for them in terms of reaching out to different organizations? I know you have children that are not trying to be involved, and for them, going to your organizations is like almost like making that step to not actually get involved. But for the children that are actually in the thick of it, in knife crime, do you feel there's a disconnect? And if so, what do you think that disconnect is?
Big question. Yes, I was thinking you. Perfect.
Hi, you're right. So my answer to this question would be, I think it's our jobs to get to them and reach them before they reach us. So them feeling disconnected, it comes after a certain point. I used to carry a knife and I've been affected by knife crime as well. However, if I had, like I was saying, the certain role models, the certain community sense around me, then I feel like that feeling of disconnection would slowly start to fade away. So we have to be there for the youth. We have to be there for the young people. Even me, myself, going through what I've gone through, I have to be there to show them that change is possible. And it doesn't happen overnight, but slowly, it does start to fade away.
Thank you for that question. It's such a great question. It's 100% disconnection. Totally disconnect. When I was going through the madness, as I call it, I was completely disconnected. I connected with that lifestyle. I connected with drugs. I connected with trying to hang out with the wrong people. 100% is disconnection. What I do, I think the best way to try and get through to youth today is for people like myself and the young esteemed gentleman at the end, is to go to schools, go to places of worship, have our drug-free campaigns that we do in Croydon, we do in Maidstone, we do in Bromley. Be present, not just exist for people. Be present and keep on going out and talking, because the youth relate to people who've already been there, because we understand. And now I'm on the other side, and we're on the other side, and we can show them that there is a way out. That's not the life to lead. There's a better life than that. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Last question?
Hi there, my name is Abdullahi. I'm a Croydon resident. I have a question for Christabel, I think, the lady there, and the lady that's in charge of gender-based violence for Croydon Council. My questions for both of you are, it's good that there's more awareness now, but how can we amplify survivors' voices? Because unfortunately, in the main world, we have voices, but for some communities, for the African Caribbean and like Asian communities, there's a lot of shame in terms of don't talk about this has happened, move on. It's a lot of pain for parents, children, and a lot of people, even people growing up today. How can you like improve the voices and make their voices and stories heard instead of people trying to like not get them heard? Thank you.
How can we amplify survivors' voices?
I think the first thing is about being allowed to speak on it, right? Till this day, when we speak about gender-based violence or violence against women and girls, we're told that it's too triggering and therefore we shouldn't speak about it. It's not accepting. But being allowed to speak about it and being able to speak about the various forms people experience it, right? There is no perfect victim. And it's really important to have these conversations around the different ways you can experience abuse. Right? Somebody, you being maybe deaf and somebody pushing your hearing aid or hiding your hearing aid all the time, that's a form of abuse. Being able to identify that, but you would never know to go to the police or speak to anyone about that. Because that hasn't been shown to you as abuse. That's not what we see on TV or EastEnders or Emmerdale. That's not what people tell us in their books, and so we don't know that. So awareness around abuse, the different forms of abuse, but also how different communities experience it. Right? We know, especially in London, black and brown communities are experiencing abuse at way higher rates than the white counterparts. We know that 63% of victims of domestic homicides are black. So we need to talk about the fact that different communities experience abuse differently. And then we talk about the intersections. How does that intersect with class? How does that intersect with colorism? How does that intersect with the fact that your gender, your sexuality, having all these conversations allows us to be open about it. And finally, also, I think it's about creating spaces that are also intersectional. There is no one way of raising awareness. There's no one way of creating safe space. There's no one way of being a survivor either. And therefore, all our spaces need to be diverse. The way people can reach us need to be diverse. Our language is important. There's nobody that is hard to reach. I love what you said. Nobody's hard to reach. We're not doing enough to reach them. We are the problem, never them. So how do we make sure we're doing that? And how do we let people know that once you come forward, there will be accountability with the police. There will be accountability. The police will hear you. Although we have interesting history with the system, the police will hear you. There is space for you here. You are heard, and when you get to this space, we will make sure that we are protecting you. And once you have that assurance, you are more likely to speak to somebody about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't keep you much longer, but just going on from what Christabel was saying, we've got a long way to go, right? I mean, the conversations have been started, the partnerships have been brought together, but we've still got a long way to go. Tackling violence against women and girls is a global problem. It's not just a problem for Croydon. So I kind of suppose what I want to do is that connect with the council service, with our voluntary sector partners is a very strong partnership. And we are starting the conversations and we are challenging and we will hold perpetrators to account in this borough. We will not tolerate violence against women and girls.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, thank you so very much. Firstly to you guys for asking questions, for being engaged. It's clear that it will, like Polly said, it will take a village. It will take a community approach, a multifaceted approach to tackle this violence. But progress is being made, as Andy said at the start. So, one last time, please give it up to your panel. Mohammed Al-Assad, Christabel, Polly Dhaliwal, Dr. Saf Buxi, Alison Kennedy, and Chief Superintendent Andy Britton. Thank you very, very much.